The stars above Nyra's 9 were calm. The colony looked quiet, almost lifeless. From orbit, it appeared like a forgotten place, a few dusty buildings. Some old mining towers, and patches of dry land cracked from heat and wind. There was no sign of movement. No ships flying, no lights blinking, just silence. But something strange had happened 6 minutes ago. A single emergency signal had left the surface. Standard human distress call. No voice, just a pulse's steady beep, carrying one message: we are under attack. The signal reached the nearest human relay station in deep space, but help was too far, too slow. No one could reach Nyra's 9 in time. Colony was on its own. Inside the orbiting alien ship, Captain Verga leaned back in his tall metal chair. His eyes were full of pride and mockery as he looked at the screen showing the surface of Nyra's 9. No defense systems, he said in his rough voice. No orbital cannons, no fighter ships, weak humans. This will be quick. Around him, his officers laughed. They were from the Trackran Dominion cold-blooded reptiles from the edge of the galaxy. Their skin was black with green streaks, their jaws wide and full of sharp teeth. They had crushed many worlds. Earth colonies were nothing new to them. General Jaru, shorter but smarter Trakuran, frowned as he checked his screen. The colonies. Layout is strange, he said. It's not like other human outposts. The buildings are spread far. Some of them are fake shells, just walls with nothing inside. Does it matter? Captain Verga growled. It's a mining colony. We crush them, take the ore, and move on. We don't care about their strange tastes in buildings. Jaru nodded, but still felt uneasy. The first wave of Trackran dropships launched from orbit. 30 ships, each carrying 10 elite soldiers, flew down toward the surface. Their engines glowed red as they pushed through the atmosphere. The clouds around them split like waves. They landed fast, no resistance. Soldiers stepped out with rifles ready, their claws gripped. Weapons made for war. They moved in teams, checking buildings, scanning for humans, for turrets. For traps, they found nothing. The colony was empty. Not a single human in sight. No gunfire, no voices, no alarms, just wind. Sergeant Rock, leader of Drop Team 4, moved. Through a dusty hallway inside the main administration building, the place looked abandoned. Furniture was flipped, screens were broken, blood on the floor, but no bodies. Strange, he said, overcomes. Signs of struggle, but no dead. Team 5 found a kitchen area, cold meals still sitting on tables. A spoon still in a bowl as if someone had dropped it mid-bite. But again, no people. Just shadows and silence. Then, exactly 7 minutes after the dropships landed, something changed. Private Hearn from Team 8 was standing outside near the water tanks. He was drinking from his ration tube when he heard it, a low hum. He turned. Behind him, the sand was moving. Not blowing, moving, rising. Something under the ground. Then the ground opened. A black spike shot upward. It hit Hearn in the chest before he could scream. His body flew into the air, twisted, and fell in pieces. The soldiers with him turned and fired. But they didn't see a target. Then came the sounds. Screams, gunfire. Static oncomes. All across the colony Trackran teams began shouting, screaming, asking for help. Some saw shadows moving at impossible speeds. Others reported their own weapons turning off. Lights flickered. Screens went black. In the command ship above, Captain Verga leaned forward. What's happening down there? No answer. The screens on his ship showed multiple dropships going dark. Their signals vanished one by one. He switched to audio. Team 12, report. Nothing. Team 9, what is your status? A voice came through screaming. Loud, wild, painful. They're not human, the voice cried. They don't die. There the voice ended in a wet crunch. Captain Verga stood up. Full. Retreat, he ordered. Get them out of there now. But it was too late. On the ground, the battlefield had changed. From underground tunnels, black armored figures had risen. Fast, silent, deadly. Their suits didn't shine. Their guns didn't make loud bangs. They moved like shadows, like ghosts. They didn't talk. They didn't stop. These were not simple colonists. These were the Black Zone operatives. They had trained for this day since childhood. Born on Niros 9, raised in underground chambers, tested in fire, shadow, and silence. Earth had made them in secret, away from the eyes of the galaxy. Not for peace, not for science, but for war. They didn't wear insignias. They didn't carry flags. They didn't exist in any database. Their orders were clear. If Niros 9 is attacked, do not speak, do not warn, eliminate. And now, they followed that order. Operative 09, the youngest, moved through the outer mining yard. He was just 16, but his hands were steady and his aim was perfect. His rifle clicked once. A red beam tore through 2 Trackeran soldiers trying to escape. He kept walking. Operative 06 dropped from a rooftop, slicing through another soldier. With a monoblade, no sound, no mercy. In 7 minutes 27, Trackeran ships had fallen silent. Captain Verga's ship was now under threat. He stared at the surface with horror. How can this be? He asked. There were no signs of military presence? No ships, no weapons. General Giroux whispered. It was a trap. Verga's hands clenched. Get us out of orbit. The ship began to rise, but the stars blinked, one by one. Strange black orbs appeared in space, silent mines floating where nothing had been before. They weren't human technology. They weren't alien either. They were something in between. Each orb locked onto the command ship. The engine sparked. Lights flickered. One orb touched the hull. Then came the explosion. In total silence, the rear of the ship vanished in fire. Verga flew from his chair as alarms screamed. Systems failed. Gravity collapsed. The last thing he saw before his screen broke was a human face cold, calm, watching from the surface through a hacked video feed. The face of Operative 09. Back on the ground, the colony fell quiet again. The smoke rose gently. The sun touched the cracked soil. The buildings still stood. Of the 300 Trackeran soldiers sent, only 3 remained alive, captured, not killed. They were placed in a sealed cell underground. No questions asked, no screams heard, just silence. Operative 03 sent a message. Not to Earth, but to the other colonies. One single line. Niros 9 is secure. 7 minute protocol succeeded. Far from Niros 9, Earth's high command received the message but gave no public reply. No media spoke of the attack. No heroes were named. No awards were given because Niros 9 was never meant to be known. It was never a place of peace. It was Earth's experiment to create humans that could end wars before they began, to raise warriors who didn't need fleets or missiles or speeches. Just 7 minutes. That was enough. In the deep blackness of space, other species watched. Some listened. Others pretended they had seen nothing. But whispers began, of a colony that wasn't real, of humans who didn't scream, didn't run, didn't beg, only silence and fire. Captain Verga's fleet had come to conquer a weak colony they didn't know. Earth had stopped building colonies. They had started building weapons, calling them home. Niros 9 was the first. It would not be the last. And now the galaxy had a new rule. Do not test Earth's silence. Behind it, something waits. The sky above Niros 9 was still full of smoke. Fires burned in the remains of alien ships. The ground was torn, blackened, and filled with deep marks where dropships had landed and where they had died. But now, everything was quiet. Too quiet, no alarms. No gunfire, no screams. Only the soft wind blowing through the dead colony. Below the surface, in a deep black chamber, a screen blinked softly. One word appeared again and again. Protocol active. In the center of the room stood Operative 01. He was tall, older than the others, face covered in scars. His eyes were cold. He watched the screen without emotion. The mission was complete. The Tracker and Invaders were gone. 7 minutes? No more, no less. That was the rule. That was the 7-minute protocol. It had been created many years ago, in secret by Earth's military scientists. They knew the galaxy was watching Earth, waiting. Judging planning Earth couldn't fight the galaxy with numbers. It didn't have enough ships, enough people, enough colonies. So it chose a different path. It created Protocol Grafangleter, known only as the 7-minute protocol. The idea was simple. Build one colony. Hide it far away. Make it look weak, quiet, defenseless. But in truth, fill it with death. Raise a new generation. Train them without love, without rest, without kindness. Only discipline. Only silence. Only survival. And if an enemy ever attacked, the colony, 7 minutes. That's all the defenders would need. Inside another bunker. Operative 09 was sitting on a bench. His armor was still covered in dust and ash. He held his helmet in his lap, breathing slow and calm. He had killed 5 tracker and soldiers that morning. Maybe more. He didn't keep count. No one did. That wasn't the mission. He looked young, only 16, but his eyes had no softness, just steel. A medic entered the room and looked at him. "You're bleeding," she said. 9 looked down at his side, a deep cut. He hadn't noticed. He didn't care. The medic cleaned the wound quickly. Oh, no painkillers. No words. They were trained not to speak unless required. Words were a waste of time. In the next room, a group of operatives stood before a tall black wall. On it were names not of heroes, but of failures. Each name represented someone who had spoken. During battle, someone who had hesitated, someone who had broken the 7-minute code. Their names were not honored. They were remembered as lessons, because hesitation meant death. Operative 03 stepped forward and erased one name. She was small, fast, and brutal. Her last mission had been a test. She had passed. The name she erased was her own. Now she was part of the elite. Meanwhile, far across space, Earth's High Command received the full report. They sat in silence as the data played satellite. Footage, thermal scans, enemy transmissions, everything was recorded. They watched the tracker and fleet arrive. They watched the dropships land, watched the ground open, and the black-armored humans rise. They watched as alien life signs vanished one by one. 7 minutes. No emotion showed on the faces of Earth's commanders. Just quiet satisfaction. One of them, a woman named General Asha, looked at her tablet. "Test success confirmed," she said. Nairos 9 performed within tolerance limits. Maximum delay, 14 seconds. Acceptable. Another general, older and grayer, leaned back. "What about the survivors?" he asked. "There are 3," replied a young officer, "alive, in containment." General Asha nodded. "Begin secondary phase?" she said. "Memory scrape. Language download. Deep tissue study. No escape. No signals." The others agreed. No trials, no public show, just study Nairos 9. It's not a story to share. It was a weapon to protect. But something else was happening. In a hidden corner of Nairos 9, deeper than any map showed, a machine was waking. It had no name. It had no voice. It was not human, not alien. It was built by Earth and locked away long ago. Meant to stay asleep. But now it was turning on. Its sensors opened. Its logic core came online. It had detected battle, and it had detected something unusual. Inside. One of the alien survivors' signal. Faint, hidden, buried inside the bones. It wasn't Trackrin tech. It wasn't known tech at all. It was something older, something dangerous. The machine sent a silent alert to Earth, but someone intercepted it. In a dark part of the galaxy, a ship floated in shadows. Its design didn't match any known species. Its shape twisted slowly, like it was made of liquid metal. Inside, a figure with no face watched a screen. It had no name, but it had interest. Nairos 9 had just revealed itself to the galaxy. Now the real game was beginning. Back on Niros 9. Operative O9 stood before a glass wall. Behind it was one of the alien prisoners. The tracker and female was injured, bleeding, but still alive. She stared at him through the glass. "You're not soldiers," she said weakly. "You're monsters." 9 didn't answer. He just watched. She laughed even though it hurt her. "You're worse than us," she said. "And I think you were made to be." Still, he didn't reply. She looked into his eyes and whispered, "Do you even know what you are?" That made him pause. Just for a moment, then he turned and walked away. No. Words, no expression. But something inside him was turning. Something he didn't understand. A question, "Do you even know what you are?" In his sleep, later that night, he dreamed. He saw a fire. He saw a child screaming inside a cold room. He saw machines cutting, wires digging, people watching through glass. He didn't remember it, but maybe once it had been real. The 7-minute protocol didn't care about dreams, but the boy who had become Operative O9 might. As the stars turned above Niros 9, a new signal was sent, this time from deep beneath the colony, not to Earth, not to the galaxy, but to the other hidden colonies like it. Only 4 words. Protocol active. Remain silent, far away across. Different planets, deep in forgotten places. Other operatives opened their eyes. They had waited for years. Now, no war was coming, and Earth was done pretending to be weak. The air inside the chamber was cold, not because of the machines or the stone walls, but because of what had happened there. This was the black zone. It had no windows, no lights from the surface, no signs that life ever existed. The walls were made of dark alloy, the kind used in starship hulls. The ground was smooth, clean, bloodless, always cleaned after training. No one outside Niros 9 knew the black zone existed, not even most humans inside it. Pain was normal, silence was law, motion was forbidden. And from this place came the boy who changed everything. Operative O9. He had no real name, no birthday, no family. He was not born like other children. He was built. His body came from Earth. His training came from hell. Since he was 5, he had slept only 4 hours a night. Since he was 6, he had never cried. At age 7, he was dropped in the wild zones of Niros 9 and told to survive 2 weeks alone with no food, no water, no tools. He returned in 12. Dazed, carrying a dead animal on his back. The trainers called that acceptable. But O9 didn't care about praise. He didn't even understand it. He had learned one thing: complete the mission. Finish the task. Obey the protocol. That's all that mattered. Now, days after the battle with the tracker and Invaders, 9 was alone again. He stood in the empty training chamber, staring at the wall. It was painted black like everything else in this place, but on it, one phrase was written in gray letters: "Emotion is delay. Delay is death." Had read those words every day of his life. They were the first thing he ever learned. But today, something inside him didn't feel the same. He remembered the Trackerian prisoner's words. "Do you even know what you are?" He didn't understand why those words stuck in his mind. He was an operative. He was human, wasn't he? Deep inside him, doubt began to grow like a shadow that wouldn't go away. Operative O6 entered the room. She was fast, older than O9, and sharper with her blades than any soldier on the colony. She was the closest thing O9 had to a partner, though they never used that word. "Debriefing," she said simply. He nodded and followed her down the corridor. They passed rows of empty rooms. In the early days, these chambers were full, 20 young children trained at once. Now only 5 remained. Most had failed, one by one. They were taken away. Failure was not punished with pain. Failure meant deletion. At the end of the hallway, they entered the debriefing room. Operative O1 stood waiting. His face was hard as stone. He held a tablet in one hand and didn't look up when they walked in. "Operative O9, he said. "Yes, sir." "You showed hesitation." O9 blinked. "Where?" "After the final sweep, you stopped moving. 3 seconds. Why?" There was no good answer. He didn't know. It won't happen again, O9 said. Operative O1 stepped closer. Do you know what hesitation does? He asked. Yes, it kills. Do you know what curiosity does? No. It becomes rebellion. 9 said nothing. Report to Chamber 17. Mental reset, O1 ordered. 9 nodded and left without speaking. Operative O6 followed him with her eyes, but didn't move. She knew what Chamber 17 was. It wasn't for punishment. It was for forgetting inside. Chamber 1709 lay on the metal chair. A thin cable was attached to the back of his head. Cold light filled the room. Soft voice played through the speaker. Relax. Clear your thoughts. Let go of stray memories. He tried, but the words echoed again. Do you even know what you are? And then something new happened. He saw a memory he didn't recognize. A white room. A woman's face, smiling a real smile. She said his name, not a number. A real name. He couldn't hear it clearly, but it felt warm. Safe. The memory flickered, then vanished. The machine buzzed. Error. The voice in the speaker changed. Corrupted block. Subject O9 is retaining protected memories. The room turned red dot emergency light. But O9 sat up fast, faster than he should have. His hand ripped the cable out of his head. Security bots rolled into the room. But he moved quicker, flipping backward, landing behind them, disabling them with 2 strikes. He didn't know why he was fighting. He just knew. Something wasn't right. That memory, that smile, it wasn't from training. It wasn't part of the protocol. It was something else. Something before. Outside the chamber. Operative O6 heard the alarms. She didn't wait for orders. She ran by the time. She reached Chamber 17. The bots were down, and O9 was standing alone in the smoke. His eyes weren't cold. They were burning. What are you doing? She asked. I remembered something, he said. You're not supposed to. I know. Silence passed between them. Then she said, run now. Hide. I'll say you broke. They'll erase your number. It'll be like you never existed. Why are you helping me? She didn't answer. She just turned away and walked back into the smoke. O9 ran. He didn't go up. He went down. Below the black zone was a level even the other operatives didn't know. A place sealed off. A place forgotten. He found it by accident. Or maybe the memory had shown him. The door opened when he touched it. Inside, everything was dust. Old lights, cracked walls, but in the center stood a pod, a stasis chamber, and inside it was another boy. Sleeping, he looked just like O9. Same face, same eyes, like a mirror, but older. On the wall next to the pod, one word was printed, original. And under that, Project Echo Human. 9 stepped back. He didn't understand, but now he knew one thing. He wasn't the first. He was a copy. An echo, and maybe not the last. Suddenly footsteps echoed behind him. Operative O1. He stood at the doorway, silent. I wondered how long it would take you, he said. 9 raised his rifle, but O1 didn't move. You were not made to obey, O1. Said, you were made to evolve. Then why erase my memory? Because evolution is dangerous. The galaxy isn't ready for what you are. What am I? Not human, not machine. Something in between. 9 lowered his gun slowly. There are others, O1 said. Other colonies, other echoes. When the time is right, you will find them. Why are you telling me this? Because now you're awake. Behind O1, red lights flashed again. Intruder alert, but not from O9. From orbit, something was entering Nero's 9's atmosphere, and it wasn't human. Operative O1 looked up. They found us, he said quietly. Who? 9 asked. The ones who built the signal inside the Trackeran's bones. You mean someone worse than them? Yes, and then he said the one sentence that made O9 feel fear for the first time. They weren't invading us, O9. They were running from something. Outside, The sky turned black, and Nyrus 9 was no longer a secret. It was the front line. The sky above Nyrus 9 turned dark, though it was midday. Black clouds rolled in, not from weather, but from heat trails, something massive entering the atmosphere. The alarms in the lower bunkers began to scream. This was not a drill, not a false. Signaled something real was coming. Inside the command chamber, screens blinked red. Warning signs spread across every wall. The planet's sensors, normally quiet now, struggled to keep up with. And what they were seeing: unknown shape, unknown size, unknown tech, unknown species, error. After error filled the system logs, nothing matched. Not Earth, not Trackerin, not any other known race in the galactic database. General warnings flashed in large, bold letters. Error. Unknown species detected. Inside a private war room, Operative 01 stood in front of the central display. His face didn't change, but his hands were already moving, opening locked codes, activating backup defenses, summoning the hidden layers of the colony. Operative 06 stood beside him. "They're not Trackerin?" she asked. "No," he replied. "Trackerin tech screams when it enters airspace. This doesn't even breathe." "What does that mean?" He turned to her. "It means the Trakkeen weren't attackers. They were running from whatever is coming now." On another floor, Operative 09 sat still in the cold observation room. His eyes were on the pod, the one holding the figure marked original, a perfect match to his own face. His thoughts were still heavy, still confused. He wasn't the first. He wasn't even unique. And now, something was coming from space that not even Earth understood. A voice broke his thoughts. "09. Respond." It was Operative 01's voice. "Sharp overcomes mission update. High threat incoming. Unknown class. Move to Surface Gate Alpha and prepare for intercept." 9 stood quickly. He didn't ask questions. No one did when the 7-minute protocol was active. The corridor lights turned red. Backup power switched on, all across Nyrus 9. The Black Zone operatives came out from under the ground like living shadows. Their armor was sealed, black as coal, made of memory metal that shaped itself to their every move. They moved fast. No words spoken. Above them, the enemy ship arrived. It was silent. No engine noise, no sonic boom.
Ouch.
It didn't push the air, it slipped through it. It's like it wasn't even there. The shape of the ship was wrong, too smooth, too perfect. It looked like glass and shadow had melted. Together, Nyrus 9's orbital weapons activated. Missiles fired. Lasers burned the sky. But when the attacks hit the ship, they vanished like water falling into an endless hole. Nothing damaged it, not even a scratch, inside the alien ship. No one could see the pilot, but something saw them. Every human on Nyrus 9 felt it, like cold fingers touching their mind. It wasn't language, it wasn't words, it was pressure. A presence, watching, judging. Then the ship landed. It didn't crash, it didn't burn the ground, it simply appeared, hovering just above the colony's central courtyard. Its surface shimmered like oil. One side began to open. The Black Zone operatives stood ready, rifles aimed, motion locked. Even 09 felt tension in his chest, and he never felt anything. From inside the ship, a figure floated out, not walked, dash floated, no legs. Just along. Shape wrapped in smooth black layers that moved like wind. It had no face, just a mask with a single white light where a mouth should be. The light pulsed like a heartbeat, then the figure spoke not with sound, but directly into every human's mind. "You should not exist." Operative 01 stepped forward. "Identify," he said out loud. "State your purpose." The figure didn't move. It didn't breathe. Again, the voice entered their minds. "You were not meant to be made. You are echoes. You are errors." Operative 6 frowned. It knows about echo humans. 09's jaw tightened. "Then what is it?" he asked. The figure slowly turned to face him. It seemed to know, seemed to see him, not just his body, but his code. Then the light pulsed brighter, and the voice changed. "One of you holds the seed. The seed must not awaken." Operative O1 looked at O9 sharply. What seed? O9 asked. What are you talking about? The figure said nothing else. Instead, it raised a single long arm toward the ground and the earth. Shattered, not exploded, not cracked. Shattered like glass falling apart from below the colony. Something began to rise, not a creature, not a machine. A tower, old, buried for centuries. Its surface was smooth and black, marked with glowing symbols that no one could read, not Earth language. Not alien, something older, something lost. Operative O1 stared in shock. That's not ours. No, the floating figure whispered, now in sound. It was here before you, before Earth, before flesh. The tower pulsed once, and every human on the colony dropped to their knees. Pain hit them like lightning. Not to the body, but the brain. Memory fractured, thoughts spun. Only Operative O9 stood tall. He didn't know why, but the pain didn't reach him. Instead, he heard something else. A voice, faint, hidden deep in his mind. Protect the gate. Stop the echo, he gasped. It was the same voice from his dream. The woman, the one who had smiled. She wasn't part of the black. Zon she was from before. From the time he was born, he knew now. He hadn't been made here. He had been taken, raised. In the black zone, but not born in it. He stepped toward the alien figure. Why me? He shouted. Why do I hear her? The figure turned its mask toward him again. Its voice was full of cold certainty. Because you were never just a copy, you are the seed. And if you awaken fully, the galaxy will burn. The ground began to shake violently. The alien tower was rising faster now. Blue light shot from the cracks. The symbols on its side were changing, reshaping. Operative. One screamed over, comes. All operatives neutralize the tower. Full force. Engage now. Dozens of elite soldiers opened fire. Missiles launched. Explosives detonated. But the tower didn't break it. It's absorbed, grew, and then it spoke. Not in sound, not in thought, but in memory. Every human on Nero's 9 was suddenly shown something. It's impossible. A flash of the future cities on fire, ships falling from the sky, whole planets turning to dust, and in the center, a human face. Not angry, not evil, just empty. 9 saw it clearly. It was his own face. He screamed, dropped to his knees. Sweat poured from his head. The others were down too, frozen, shaking, confused. Only the alien figure remained still. You see now, it said, you are not defenders. You are the beginning of extinction. 9 forced himself up. He aimed his rifle at the tower, then at the figure. You fear me, he said. The figure tilted its head. No, we fear what you will become. Then it faded. Gone. The ship, too, vanished like a shadow. Only the tower remained half buried. Glowing faintly, Operative O1 grabbed O9's shoulder. This tower, he said, voice shaken, is not from our world, but it's tied to you. What do we do? 9 asked. One looked at the screen as it blinked one more message. Lockdown failed. Tower active. Species tag. Unknown. He replied quietly. We survive. And we find out what you really are. Darkness stayed over Nero's 9, even though it should have been morning. The alien tower still stood in the center of the colony, quiet, unmoving, but alive. Its black walls glowed faintly with strange symbols. None of them were from Earth. None matched anything in human or alien records. No one slept that night, not even the operatives. The 7-minute protocol had ended. But something worse had started. Inside the lower command center, Operative O1 stood in silence. His eyes were fixed on a screen showing real-time images of the tower. It had not grown in size, but its energy had increased. Sensors showed spikes every hour like it was breathing. Operative O6 stood beside him. This thing is talking. She said, we just don't know how to listen. O1 nodded. We will, but we must act before it reaches signal range. Signal range meant one thing. The tower could call others, and if the alien who visited before had warned them, then others like it might come next. That couldn't happen. They had to understand this structure. And for that, they needed to go deep. Deeper than anyone had ever gone. Below the black zone. Below. Even the core systems of the colony. There was a place whispered among early Earth settlers. A place the original Echo. Humans were never told about. It had no map. No access code. No lights. No oxygen. It was sealed before the first colony ever reported success. It was simply known as the bunker. That was never found. The name was strange, but to the highest level of Earth's Defense Council. It meant one thing. A forgotten place that held truths too. It's dangerous to share. Now it might be the only place left to search for answers. Operative. One called in 3 people, not many, only the ones he trusted the most. Operative 6, Operative 14, and 9. He looked each of them in the eye. I don't know what's down there, he said, but whatever it is, it's connected to the tower. To you, he looked at 09, and to why this colony was really built. I stayed silent. He was used to following orders. But now, deep inside him, something had changed. Ever since the tower rose, he had dreams, flashes of memories he didn't recognize. A woman's voice. A baby. A white sky. Screams, then silence. None of those memories were in his training logs. They were from something older, something before the black zone ever existed. As the 4 operatives stepped onto the lift platform, the air turned cold. Lights flickered. And for the first time in his life, 09 felt fear. Real fear. Not from pain, not from battle, but from knowing this mission could change everything. The lift took them down past the known layers of NY Ross-9, past weapons storage, past food reserves, past CRYO-vaults. Then, deeper below, where maps ended, the walls changed. The steel became stone. And then, no lights, no sounds, only darkness. The lift stopped. They were in pitch black. All 4 operatives. Activated helmet lights. The room was massive. Dust hung in the air like fog. And ahead of them, a door. Tall, ancient, marked with the same glowing symbols from the tower above. Operative 14 stepped forward, placed his hand on the door. Nothing happened. Then, 09 stepped forward. The moment he touched it, the symbols flared to life. The door shook, then opened, slowly, loudly, like something had waited a long time to be disturbed inside. The air smelled wrong, old, metallic, like rust and ash, but the room ahead was still active. Machines blinked faintly, and at the center of it all, a pod, not like the ones Echo humans were raised in. This one was larger, rounded with black cables running into the floor, and behind it, a screen flickering weakly. One word appeared. Welcome seed. Operative 06 stepped back. This was built. 409, she whispered. But it's older than the colony, Operative 14 said. Much older. 9 moved closer. He touched the screen. A soft tone played. Then a voice spoke, not a machine voice. A human voice. Female. Familiar. Double quotes. If you are hearing this, then the tower has awakened. My son is still alive. The room froze. No one moved. No one spoke. The voice continued. I was part of Project Horizon. We created the first Echo humans. We thought we were saving Earth from war, but we were wrong. We made something beyond human. The pod behind the screen opened slowly. Inside it lay a woman's body, perfectly preserved, eyes closed, hands folded. She looked peaceful, and she looked like the woman in 09's dreams. The voice kept speaking. The Black Zone operatives were never just soldiers. They were seeds, designed to hold genetic memories, or something greater, something ancient, buried beneath Nearest 9 long before Earth arrived. Operative 01 stepped forward now. He stared at the woman's face. You're saying, these Echo humans were meant to awaken something Become something, the voice answered. No, just one, the child. The screen flashed again. New data appeared. DNA strands, images, and a name. Echo Prime. Designation 09. DNA stability 100%. Memory link active. Operative 06 turned to 09. You're the first, she said. The real first. 9 felt dizzy. He leaned against the wall. What does it mean? He whispered. The voice answered. It means you are not just an echo human. You are the trigger. The reason the tower rose is the one they fear. Suddenly, lights flashed red. The bunker shook. Warning sirens screamed above. Operative 14 checked his comms. Something's happening on the surface, he said. The tower? It's opening. Operative 01 gave orders quickly. Seal this bunker. No one else enters. 6. Stay here and gather all data. 14. With me. 9. He paused, then looked 09 in the eyes. Get ready. As they left, 09 turned. Back to the pod. The woman still lay there. He didn't know if she was his mother or so. She was just a memory made real, but he felt something inside him change. The voice had called him a seed. The aliens feared what he would become, and now. The tower had begun to open. The war hadn't started yet, but something was coming. Something big. Something that knew exactly who he was. He stared at the screen as it showed one. Final message. Phase 2 initiated. Prepare for ascension. In the distance above, on the surface, the sky began to tear open. The tower was no longer quiet. Its smooth black walls began to move. Not shake, but breathe. The surface rippled like water, pulsing with strange lights. Symbols flashed faster. The air around it twisted. It was like gravity had stopped listening. To the rules, then came the sound. A deep hum. Not loud, but heavy. You didn't hear it with your ears, felt it in your bones. People all over the colony fell to their knees. Some bled from the nose. Ancient had awakened. In orbit above Nero's 9, Defense Satellite Echo W12 recorded the event in full detail. But the moment the tower reached full energy output, the satellite vanished. Not destroyed, not shut down, just gone. Every other system watching from space sent the same message to Earth's core. Unknown energy. Systems failing, losing visual. SKY. Then nothing. Silence. And over the colony. The sky, once purple and calm, split open. Not with thunder, not with fire, but with black light. A rip formed above the tower. A sharp line stretching across the clouds. It pulsed and widened. And through that tear, something. Looked in, it was not a ship, not a being. It was a presence. Something that did not belong to any alien Earth had ever met. Not in war, not in peace, not even in legends. And it had found 09. He stood outside now, near the edge of the tower. He did not know why his feet had taken him there. He just knew it had to happen. Operative 01 watched him from a distance. So did 06 and 14 returning from the bunker. They had all seen the message .echo-prime C.ascension. It made no sense, and yet it explained everything. Why the tower appeared the moment 09 turned why the aliens feared the colony, why the sky had cracked only after he woke up. Then it began. The tower's top twisted open like a flower, and from inside came a shape, not fully physical, not fully energy. It was like a being halfway. Between worlds, its eyes were not eyes, its body was not solid, and yet saw everything. It turned toward 09. Everyone else dropped to the ground. Some fainted, some screamed. Even the hardened soldiers felt their minds slipping. Only 09 remained standing. He looked at the being, and the being spoke, but not with words. It spoke into his mind, images, emotions, history, memories that were not his. He saw a world long lost. A planet that floated in pure light, a war so old that stars died screaming, and a weapon, one final weapon made not of metal, but of genetic code, A weapon that could not be destroyed. It's only hidden, planted far away in a new body, sent to a young race, given time to grow, to forget, and then to remember. 9 dropped to his knees. His chest hurt. His mind felt like it was tearing in half. He could feel something unlocking inside him. Not power, not strength, but truth. The truth of what he was. Not just a soldier, not just a human, but the last. Memory of a dying god. A key. And the lock had now opened. The being hovered above him, still watching, still waiting. Then, suddenly it moved, straight up into the cracked sky. It disappeared into the tier, and the rip began to close. But something else came through before it sealed. A sound, thousands of them, screaming, laughing, whispering, not voices humans could understand, but every mind on Nero's 9 felt it. They were coming, not ships, not armies. Something worse. Something ancient and full of hate. The kind of hate that burns. It's planets for fun. Operative 01 stood up. He touched his cum. Get every defense grid online. No protocols. No diplomacy. This is survival. He looked at 09. But 09 had changed. His eyes were glowing faintly. His skin hummed with heat. Operative 6 walked up slowly. Are you okay? She asked. 09 looked at her, and his voice was different now. Deeper. Clearer. They're coming for me, he said. But they'll have to go through Earth first. Then he collapsed. Operative 14 caught him, but it was too late. 09 had passed out. His body alive, his mind. Somewhere else, as they carried him back to the underground base, the tower shut itself again, silent, watching, waiting. The rip in the sky was gone. But something had changed in the air. Everyone could feel it. The countdown had begun. They had 7 days then. The real enemy would arrive, and the only one who could stop them was still unconscious. But even now, deep in sleep, 09's mind was not resting. He was inside something else. Another place, another reality. Standing before the woman. In the pod, his mother. Or the one who made him. She spoke without moving her lips. Now you remember, she said. He nodded. But why me? Because you were never human, she said. You were the last gift of a dying race, planted in a world full of fighters. Smiled. And now, the galaxy will find out what happens. When Earth's fury meets a god's memory. Then she vanished, and 09 opened. His eyes, his body was still on the table, but now he remembered. Everything, who he was, what he was, and what must be done. He stood up, and he spoke to the others. His voice calm, his words simple. They're bringing extinction. I'm bringing the answer. The next part of the war was coming, and Earth's forgotten weapon had finally awakened. But something inside him had changed forever. His memories were clear now, not just from his own life, but from something older. Something hidden deep inside him since birth. Something not human. The others stood around him in silence. Operative 01 had his hand on his sidearm. 6 and 14 watched with tight jaws. No one moved. Then 09 spoke. They buried it inside me, he said quietly. A weapon, a message, a lock. And now it's open. One stepped forward. Who are you? I was born human, 09 said. But I was made before that. Before Earth. Before this galaxy had a name. I am the last echo of a war that ended stars. Number. One said a word. The room felt smaller now. Heavier. 09 looked at his hands. Could feel it, the power humming beneath his skin. It's not energy. Not magic. It was something else, Design. He looked at the wall, and it bent. Just slightly. Just enough. Everyone saw it. Metal should not do that, but it did. 09 stood. I need to get to the tower, said. It's not done. The rip is closed, 06 replied. Whatever came through, didn't come through yet, 09 said. That was only the signal. The door opens completely in 5 days. He looked around, and they're not coming to invade. They're coming to clean up what they failed to erase before. One lowered his weapon. Then we prepare, he said. Tell us what we're facing. O9 shook his head. Words won't explain it. You'll have to see it. He raised his hand and touched the base computer. The screen cracked, then glowed. A map appeared. But it wasn't Ivanwa Ross-9. It was a star chart. Millions of stars, and half of them were marked dead. Not destroyed, not exploded, just empty, like someone had wiped them from time. They go by many names, O9 said. But their purpose never changes. They erase. Not for war, not for power, but because they believe nothing should remain except them and you. 14 asked. I was built as the failsafe, O9 said. A living lock. My memory held the final code. I had to forget to survive. Earth was chosen because humans never stop fighting, even when they're broken. He looked at them all. You weren't just the hiding place. You were the test. Operative O1's eyes narrowed. Test for what? 9 smiled slightly. 2. See if anything could survive what's coming. Suddenly, alarms blared through the base. Missile alert, perimeter breach. But it wasn't an attack. It was a signal. The sky outside changed again. No. Rip this time, no explosion. Just darkness. Shadow spreading across the clouds, like a hand reaching down, and within it shapes. Not ships. Not machines. They looked like ghosts, made of metal and bone. Silent, floating, watching. But O9 could feel them. They found me, he whispered. They'll try to trigger the collapse. What collapse? 6 asked quickly. If they kill me now, O9 said. Before I fully unlock, everything in a 10-star radius dies with me. The failsafe explodes. Reality fractures. You're a bomb. 14 said, eyes wide. I'm a door, O9 answered. That becomes a bomb if destroyed. The room went quiet again. Then O1 nodded. Then we protect the door. He activated the command network, all units to the core bunker. We form the shield line. No one touches him, not until we know how to stop what's coming. Went into full lockdown. Tanks rolled out of hangars. Missile systems came online. But the things in the sky didn't move. They just stared until one of them dropped. No fire, no weapon. It simply fell and hit the ground. Hard. Dust. Flew. The shape stood 7 feet tall. Its body looked like melted armor and bone, fused together. Its face had no eyes, only a hole where the mouth should be. And from it came a sound, not a scream, not a roar, just one single word. Release. The soldiers opened fire. Everything plasma, bullets, railguns. The shape didn't move. It just stood there as the ground. Around it melted. Then it took 1 step forward. 1, and the firing stopped. Not because it was over, but because the weapons froze. Literally froze in the soldiers' hands. Steel turned to ice. Circuits stopped. Nothing worked. The shape kept walking. Toward the tower. Toward O9. Inside. 9 stepped forward. I have to face it, he said. Alone. 6 asked. If I don't go out there now, more will come. We can't stop them with guns. He turned to O1. Let me try something. They nodded, and O9 walked out into the open. The shape turned toward him. For a long second, nothing moved. Then they both stepped closer, until only 10 feet separated. Them and the shape knelt. It didn't attack. It lowered its head. Then spoke again. Release the core. Unlock the weapon. Become what you are. 9 said nothing. But inside he felt it again. The voice in his mind. The one from the woman in the pod. She whispered. Now comes the choice. 9 looked up at the tower. The symbols were moving again, pulsing, calling. He closed his eyes and stepped toward the shape. It didn't stop him. It moved aside and led him. Nine walked through the crowd of watchers, these ghost things, who made a path, and as he reached the base of the tower, a door opened. Not a real one, but a shape in the wall. A gap. He entered, no one followed. Inside the tower, light bent, gravity twisted. He walked. But space didn't feel normal, like he was walking in every direction at once. And then he reached the core. It wasn't a machine. It was a mirror, not glass, not metal, but something else. It showed him not as he was, but as he had been. Long ago, before Earth, he saw a body made of stars. Was mindful of equations and light. He had given it up to survive. Now he had to take it back. And with that thought, the mirror cracked. A wave of light shot out. Outside, everyone saw it. The watchers screamed, not in pain, but in recognition. The sky changed again, but not darkness. Not now. Now it was fire, golden bright, burning like a sun was waking up inside. The atmosphere. 09 stepped out, and he looked different. Still human, but more. His body glowed softly. His footsteps, sparks on the ground. He raised his hand and the watchers began to burn. Quietly, no screams. They just fell apart. Dust on the wind. He turned to the others and spoke. The gate is open now. I remember everything. They'll send more, stronger. But now I'm ready. What are you? One asked. 09 didn't smile, didn't blink. He just said, the last weapon they built, the last warning they gave. And now I fight for Earth. The sky above Nero's 9 changed again, but this time did not crack. It opened. The clouds pulled back in a perfect circle. The stars disappeared. The sun dimmed. Everything turned dark, as if the planet had been thrown into space with no light. No warmth, no help, and then they came. Not in ships, not in forms. They came like a black storm, swirling down from the rip in space. Thousands, no millions. A sea of shadows with burning eyes and twisting limbs. Creatures made of hate and memory. Monsters older than stars. The kind that didn't kill because they had to. They killed because that's all they remembered how to do. The alarm rang across the colony. But this was no drill. Everyone knew it. This was the end or the beginning. Operative, one stood on the main platform. His face was hard. His voice cold. Defense grid online. Turrets locked. Drones in the air. We fight to the last. But deep down, he knew none of it would matter. Not against this, not against them. And then he felt it. He'd a pull. He turned. 09 had stepped onto the surface again. He wasn't walking. He was floating. His body glowed with white. Cracks across his skin. His eyes burned gold. He looked like a man made of light, fire. But it wasn't fire. It was code. It was the memory of the ones who had made him. He was the last gift, the last weapon, and now he was awake. Everyone stand back. 09 said. His voice echoed without sound. He raised both hands, and the tower behind him answered. The black walls peeled. Open again. Like an ancient machine finally used after 1,000 years. Inside was a heart, not a machine, a real beating heart. But it was the size of a ship, pulsing with light, and it beat in sync with 09. Oh, boom, 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 the monsters from the sky screamed. But they didn't stop. They came faster. And the moment they reached the edge of the colony, 9 struck. He didn't move. He just spoke. One word. A word older than any language. A word that made the earth shake. A word that wasn't meant to be spoken by humans. And when he said it, the world shattered. But not in destruction, in power. A wave of light exploded out of his body. White, blue, gold. It raced across the colony in every direction. The monsters touched. Tanned, burned, not like fire, but like paper vanishing in the wind. One by one. They screamed, they twisted, they vanished. But more came, and more an ocean of death. 09 stepped forward. He was no longer just human. He was a signal, a virus, a beacon, a memory-turned weapon. Every movement he made sent out waves of destruction. He raised his hand, 10 enemy shapes exploded. He pointed a finger, 100 more vanished, then the tower behind him launched. It rose into the sky, becoming a weapon of its own, a weapon that used light and gravity like blades. It began slicing through the enemy swarm, but they were endless. They circled the colony. They broke through turrets. They swarmed the outer walls. Then they reached the civilians, the colonists, mothers, fathers, children. 9 turned, and something inside him snapped. He screamed, not in fear, but in command. His body unleashed a second, not light, not fire, but something worse for the enemy. Pure sound, a deep, shattering pulse. It wasn't meant for humans, but for them, their bodies broke in the air. Their forms twisted and fell apart. And for the first time, they stopped. They waited. They realized they had made a mistake. This wasn't a soft colony. This wasn't a weak planet. This was Earth's weapon, and it was angry. Suddenly, a heart in the tower reached full power, and a message was sent. Not to Earth, not to allies, but to them. A signal so powerful it crossed galaxies. It said one thing: you attacked the wrong world. Then the sky opened again. But this time, it wasn't black. It was silver. Earth's fleet arrived, 30 warships, 10 Titan-class dreadnoughts, and one thing more terrifying than all of them: the human will to survive. The enemy paused, but it was too late. In 7 minutes from the moment the first shadow entered the sky, the last one vanishing in a burning scream, it was over. Every single creature that had tried to end Nairos 9 was gone. The sky healed, the light returned, the people stood in silence, the tower shut down, and 9 fell to his knees. He was breathing hard, his skin no longer glowing. He looked around. At the people, at the soldiers, at the colony he had once thought was just another rock, and he whispered, "It's over." But he was wrong. It wasn't over. It was just the start. The galaxy now knew Earth wasn't just building colonies. They were planting weapons. Weapons that looked like humans, but were far more. As ships landed, as people ran to hug their families, as officers gathered reports, one final signal escaped into deep space. Not from the tower, not from O9, but from the broken remains of a single enemy that had survived long enough to speak. It said, "Avoid Earth. Avoid its colonies. If you touch them, you die in minutes."